All right, we'll call the meeting to order, do the Pledge of Allegiance. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Great, so we'll call the meeting to order at the public session at 5:06 on February 24th. And first on the agenda is Michelle Holton with the analysis of revenue and expenditures report. All yours, Michelle.
All right, thank you. Being through January, we are 7 months into the year with actual results, or a percentage of 58.33. So we use this as a reference against our budget numbers. As far as revenue collectively, we're at 66.1. So we are still continuing to run ahead of the budget projection. Last year, we were at 57.2, so we've even exceeded that. We've had an increase in usage, and we have also seen new customers coming on and some corrections to multi-unit properties that weren't set up properly. So we've seen increases in the meter, hydrant, and sprinkler charges there. Overall, as far as revenue projections for the year, I do anticipate that we will exceed what our budget projection was. I know we also had a goal of a $500,000 capital reserve contribution. I don't know if we'll quite make that. We're just gonna see how things go, see what happens with usage in these next months. In the next couple months, I'm gonna sit with Amy, and we're just gonna try to do some analysis in the billing system to just see, what we can find as far as any patterns, but it has moved around. So we'll just keep reacting accordingly as we have the final results. And for expenses, does anyone have any questions on any particular revenue line items? Okay. One thing to note though, the $405K matching grant. I did reclass that revenue to the end of the report under the ordinary income, listing as non-budget grant revenue, since that's not something tying into a budget expense line item. I had mentioned that before, so that is what we've requested so far on the $405,000 drinking water, groundwater trust fund grant. The other item is account 40600 system development charge. I'm still waiting to hear from DRA. We normally have gone back and forth historically as far as to budget for it or not. It's a number dependent on new customers coming in. It doesn't have a direct actual expense account that offsets it in the budget. But there's a few questions that I posed to DRA as far as how we handle it. And they said they had to talk with a few folks and just get back some feedback, and we'll take it from there. So I'll keep you posted on that. Moving on to the expenses. Wages overall across all departments are coming in at 54.08%. And expenses, operating expenses, we have touched base on quite a few of them that are a little ahead of things just due to timing. A few others I just noted this month, the 60225, education and seminars, is actually showing a little bit above budget, but we had quite a few new people. We also had someone transfer departments, so then we had to train people in his former function. So that's where that is just creeping over almost $400 over the budget.
Is that actual expenses for like seminars and stuff like that, or is it also like cross-training internal labor hours reported to an internal cost center or something?
No, this is actually going out training. This is New England Water Works Association. So these are a couple of folk. We had someone new who came in as a laborer. We're training them up, getting them certified. So a lot of the initial coursework is expensive, and our backflow person transferred to treatment. So then we wanted to get a couple people certified in backflow, in addition on the distribution side.
On that same question,
Sure.
do we actually track time based on different cost centers or jobs, as far as like different projects, different tasks, something?
At this point, it's simply by department, just which department they are in. I do divvy up. I ask them, because we are doing a lot of shifting back and forth for people being in treatment when they're going to be on call. And so they'll split out their time anytime they actually spend in the other department, anything significant, anything over, an hour. I just ask them to just, give us the time by department, and also the on-call and overtime hours, they split by department. At this point, we haven't gotten into tying it to projects or work orders. It's something we kind of have out there with all the new systems that we're looking at, if there's going to be an easier way or a time tracking way that can kind of tie into everything. So that's...
Yeah, it's a challenge.
Yeah.
Okay. So if we were being asked, how much time did Dave spend in the Plan 4 and 5 and 2 and 3 and 7 and 8 meetings and running around and getting information for those from the team and doing site surveys and whatnot?
It'd be all estimates. It
It
wouldn't.
would be all.
Yeah.
Okay, that's fine. Thank you.
Leases, we had mentioned before, account 60800 was tracking ahead of budget. We did have a correction that I made, and we are still coming in a bit above where we would think we would find ourselves against budget. Part of that is our Rico copier. We've had some overages. We're looking at the next tiers as to when it makes sense for us to upgrade our contract versus just absorb the overages. So we are aware of that and keeping an eye on it. 70525, R&M office equipment. This is predominantly our IT support. And this is just the timing of when things come in. It's another item I'm talking with the auditors on about being able to look at it as prepaid, but we're going to change the accounting treatment of it. They just want to make a plan and have the projections, because the next couple of years we're going to have some more significant with some upgrades, IT support agreements. So we can put them in as prepaid and expense them out each month for an equivalent portion. But I'm just going to work with them to determine when we would start doing that. Postage we've touched on before. That was just some of the additional billing, the extra mailings. Account 80100. 80200, dues and subscriptions, purely timing. We were at the same place last year. Just things are tending to come in the first half of the year.
On the comment that
Certainly.
you just made as far as expenses for IT and so on, if we were to defer those and expense them out as prepaids and expense them out on a monthly basis, if we do that, we might need to add a balance sheet review to the board meeting.
Yes, I actually do a monthly prepaid I do a full reconciliation on the balance sheet, so that wouldn't be a problem at all. There's some issue with having to look at some of our contracts if we're going to have to do a cutoff and get them to be clean to the fiscal year, or we're going to have to add language to some of them. If they're going to go multi-year, we have to have the language that if our budgets aren't approved to cover them, then we have basically the municipal out if we're going to go over a year term. So that's just something I've been talking with the auditors on.
The reason
But no,
I'm
I'd be
saying
happy to do it.
The reason I'm saying that the balance sheet is a great way to park stuff, right? So
No, but
we don't
no,
want
we're-
anything to not that you would, but us as an organization, we want to make sure we understand what's parked.
Yeah, right now, as far as
On
prepaids,
the
all we're
balance
doing is insurance and postage, and when we have one IT support item, and they all just expense out either their 1/12 or whatever the usage is as far as postage goes.
Okay.
So that's all. We added that on in the last year. They hadn't really done prepaids at all historically. So.
Okay.
Is that good? Anything else on the?
One thing to note, you will end up seeing at the end of the year that account 90300, which is debt service interest, that is going to fall $4,300 under budget, and that would normally be right on because we have amortization schedules. But the New Hampshire Municipal Bond Bank reorganized some of their debt and was able to do some refunding on interest rates for us. So we are saving $4,300 in interest on one of the bonds.
Nice.
So overall, our expenses are at 48.7%, with the year being over 58% complete. the actual number last year, it was 51.3%. Total expenses were fairly close in line with where we were last year. Some of it is just the timing of some of the budget expenses and things to that nature. In comparison to the prior year, I just touched on some of the broader comparisons. I didn't know if anyone had any particular item that they'd like additional info on or have questions.
Good.
Good. Okay. Good. Okay. And I just slipped bank balances in first. It was a little easier with the monthly chart. Does anyone have any questions on any of the bank balances? Upon a positive approval of the request for the investment policy, we will start seeing some change, some movement in where funds are kept. And also I will be doing a catch up on the new well development to deduct for expenses that have been paid out of the operating account. And then we do have some upcoming expenses related to that. So I would anticipate we'd probably be doing those. I can probably do the catch up anytime, and we thought within a couple of months we might have the additional payments due on the agreement. Okay.
Hopefully, yeah.
Okay. So we've got about $100,000 that needs to come out of there, and then there'll be some additional expenses coming in as far as that goes. Did anyone have any questions on any of the financials or the month by month? No?
Good.
Okay,
Everybody good?
very good.
Great. Thank you.
And starting as we near the end of the third quarter in March, what we've usually done is kind of touch base review for all the expense items that have significant budget monies left, just to see what intentions there are. We know there are unforeseen things, but then we start to track if there's any monies that end up have to kind of cross over, still covering the bottom line budget, but just to keep an eye on closely where we are going into the end of the year.
Okay.
Okay.
Sounds good. Great.
Next item is also mine, investment.
Is
That
that on
doesn't
here?
change.
No, we get Pete is going next.
Oh, okay,
Yep, and then you're back on.
all right.
Should we move that?
Which number are we looking at?
She's number 3 for the investment policy, or 2.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, that's fine.
I don't mind waiting if you want to have a few things.
Yeah, might as well just do
Well,
it since you're there.
Okay,
Makes more sense, I think.
okay. Last month I had provided the investment policy with the investment fund section highlighted, and the significance of the change we're proposing is that it would allow us to invest in both the New Hampshire Public Deposit Investment Pool, as well as with banks in New Hampshire that meet the criteria that are detailed out in the related RSAs. In the past, the policy was only written for the deposit pool, so this would give us that option.
And we've seen this all before anyways, a couple times.
Yes, we did. Yes, we talked initially about it, and then I brought the actual revised policy last meeting. And so we are asking for the board
So you want official approval
To-
from the board?
vote for acceptance of acceptance or not of the revised investment policy.
The compliance of that is run by the state and run by our legal counsel, or
This
ensure that we
basically,
are
this
compliant.
language is actually taken right from the RSAs.
it is?
Yes. So it just opens it up that we can go to any pool, any banks that meet the specific criteria laid out by the RSAs.
Is this something we actually have to report then, that investment policy? Does it need to be sanctioned or something by the state, or?
No, we do not, we always supply it with our audit, and it is reviewed once a year by the board.
Okay. I'm good.
So somebody want to make a motion? This looks like there's a paragraph written here, sort of. We could probably make a motion about the MBD investment policy 0404-B
So move.
by RSA 4129, Roman numeral 4 and 5. Moved by Joe,
Second.
second by Wolf. Any other questions, comments? Okay, seeing none, all those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Carries 400. So we're good with that.
Very good, thank you.
Appreciate it. All right. Now you're free to go.
Well, thank you.
Okay, so next up we've got Peter.
That's not fine.
Almost.
Yeah, almost, yeah. So I'm just gonna give you a quick update on some of the projects that we're working on. So the Turkey Hill Station, so we're going through the shop drawn phase on that right now. So they're doing, submittals are going back and forth. They're looking to get out there and start doing some site work next week or the week after that. So that's what they're doing there.
Good.
So
Probably a little earlier than we thought, or based on the weather.
yeah, so the weather is certainly cooperative this winter. With doing some stuff. So, but you never know. All of a sudden you can get
Yep,
still get
turn
a
around
deep
the other
freeze.
way.
Yeah, right, exactly.
That's good news.
Yep.
There's some valve work that that's gonna need to be done. You don't wanna do it prior to our busy season, with the so many shutdowns.
Oh, yeah.
So,
Oh,
actually,
yeah.
nice that the weather's cooperating.
Strike while you can.
Yeah.
I know. Great. Now it's gonna snow 3 feet.
Yeah. I did have one contractor wanting to work, and we said no. So we don't know what's gonna happen. He's out in the DOT road, and I staff there.
All right. So what do you want
Okay.
to do next? Wells 4 and
Yeah,
5.
so wells 4 and 5, so they're continuing with the masonry block. So they have the lower portion of the building, that's all done. And then now they're working on that upper portion. And they're hoping to finish that by early next week.
The tall section.
Tall section, yeah. So
And the
So
tanks are still when's the tanks
tanks are
scheduled?
supposed to be shipped on the 17th. So
And the trusses are coming in.
their trusses
After
are
that,
there
or they're
now.
There,
Okay.
Yeah, are all of them there, or just that's a lower portion?
I'm not 100% on that.
Yeah,
And
okay.
I know at least the lower portion.
Right, yeah. So those trusses are there. So they're when they're done with the masonry, they're gonna probably start doing some of the truss work and stuff on that lower portion of the building, and stuff like that. So they'll do that, then wait for the vessels to come. Then once they drop the vessels, and then they can use a crane, from there to set all the trusses on the high roof. The low roof they can do with their low, stuff like that. So they can do it that way.
Yeah.
But the tall ones, they want the crane to do that. So,
Good.
yeah, so that one's again moving along as we
Alright.
planned. So there's going to be a lot of action once those vessels are in. It's gonna be a lot of people there. So
Good.
yeah, so that one's good. In terms of the well 4 replacement on that, so we kind of talked before and about EGGI doing that. We thought it would be better to have them contract directly through the district instead of through the district. So they're doing all the well work and all that kind of stuff. So we thought it would be best just to keep them with that. So they put together a proposal to.
They came today.
They came today.
Just a little
Yeah.
while ago.
Yeah. So then that came, and then so it's going to be the
Okay.
same thing. So that you should have that. So that one should be moving along with that one. So okay. And any questions on 4-5?
Still on target.
Still on target, yeah. Yeah, so we'll see if anything's coming up, in the next, as they're moving along, but we don't foresee anything, so right now.
We haven't done a percent of completion on cost review in a while on 4 and 5.
Yeah, there's not, so compared to like a unit price item, then you can kind of do this is where it's pretty much a lump sum job, so your fee is really your fee. Compared to a unit price job, you can, when you get to, somewhere, beyond 50%, you can do a projected cost to complete, but with this one, it's really whatever the contract value is right now is
Right.
what the cost is.
But
yeah.
change orders or something, nothing significant get
So,
through, or
So change orders, we are at about 48,000 right now. Okay, and then we have a change order coming up, and I was just working on it, and we have an additional, I want to say 12 on that, but then we're getting a credit for
12. Change orders are 12,000.
12,000. Yeah, and then we have, but we have a credit coming back from not doing the sprinklers, so we're gonna have a credit on that. So I'm foreseeing, well, and I'm trying to get the paperwork from Penta, so I need to get the change order sort of approved, because so the end of the month's coming. They did some of that work, so I want to get this change order done so they can charge their time to it. Because right now there's nothing to charge their time to for some of those line items. So I want to try to get that done. Penta has said they contacted their subcontractor who does the sprinklers, and they did do some work on that, before we told them to stop, So he doesn't know if they're gonna say, well, that was just, peanuts. We'll give you. We're not gonna charge anything. So he's trying to find out what that exact credit is. So
The credit for the sprinkler in total was that a line item in the budget?
there was a
or-
line item in their schedule values of 33,000 for that.
Okay.
So
So
that's what
that's the expectation.
it's gonna be that ballpark. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Exactly. Yeah. So right now you have sort of given verbal of 50,000, I think, for change orders.
The board voted on it, so yeah.
Yeah. So if we don't do, if we can't get that sprinkler, line item into it, we're gonna be over that. So I didn't know if, how the board wanted to, do you want to give any more contingency for change orders?
Are you reviewing the change orders?
Mhm.
All of them?
Yep.
So before they're being approved, you're being consulted?
Oh, yeah, absolutely, yes.
So what are you asking? If
Yeah, if you want to, so right now you appropriated, 50,000, so if we have 12, we got 33, we're obviously going down, but if we can't get that 33 into this change order for this month, we're gonna go over the 50, so then,
And the 33 isn't really to be spent as a contingency, it's supposed to go back on the,
yes, it would, yeah, but it would just be offset, so
Right.
if we're at 48 now, you add 12 to it, you go about 60, then you take 33 off of that, you're down to 27 ballpark, so.
Can we just do a
numbers, yeah.
motion to approve the change order based on the amount going forward and the expectation of a credit, instead of putting a number on it?
well, you probably have to put a number on it, isn't it? Everything we do has to have a number on it.
pretty sure we probably would.
Are we foreseeing any, I mean, I was happy to see
Yeah.
any change orders, but think we anything else coming?
Yeah, there will be, so though we got the chem feed pumps coming that we're changing out to those motor driven pumps, so we have that, we're trying to work through the cost in that, so there will be something else, at least
Those
we
will be
know on
minimal.
that.
Those will be minimal though, right?
What's
We're
this?
not- We're not talking $20,000
No,
change
no,
order, I mean, it's
no.
gonna be,
Yeah. And I guess on those, we're gonna probably be in the possible 8 range, 4 of each, something like that. But I gotta, we're trying to also verify if, we can get those in, 120 volt instead of, so that what they initially gave us was 480 volt. So then, we have right now, the conduits running from the LP panel that have the 120. So then if we have to go 480, we gotta, now possibly change some routing of some wires from the, 480 panel to the, to there, so we're just trying to get that, so I'm still trying to work through the final details of that one, so. But they do have a 120 option on the pumps, and we asked them on Friday, they didn't get back to us today to verify that we can use the 120 volt one.
I would just suggest to convert the 33 that might be credited as part of the contingency. Then you have those to play with. And in total, it's a pretty low, all in all, that amount of change orders is pretty low considering the size of the project. So if that helps, I would just make a motion to convert those, because those 33 shouldn't be spent on change orders originally, right? Because it's now a reduction in scope. So it really should be reducing the overall budget of the job.
Yeah, it would, yeah.
Right, so the idea would be to appropriate that now as part of the change order. Budget, contingency budget.
Yeah, it's all coming out, yeah, so it's just money that you're not spending, so the
Right.
dollar value of the contract was there.
So I'd be fine making that motion. That's
Okay.
pretty straightforward. Make sense?
You could do that, or you could just up to you know, if you're saying 33,000, you know, if you say 30,000, 50, add 30 to it, you wanna just say 80, just to, you know, just do something like
Yeah,
that?
we can do that too.
Yeah, then it's
It's fine.
clear, yeah.
Motion to help me out. Motion to
Increase
the
increase, that's what I
Yeah,
was looking
yeah.
for. To increase the
It's-
contingency budget from 50 to 80,000. No.
Second.
Motion made by Wolf, second by Joe. Any other questions or discussion or anything? No? And that's to increase the contingency from $50,000 to $80,000. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. Looks like 4-0-0 on that one. All right.
On,
So before we move on,
oh, yeah,
just to get back to Jamie's proposal, do we need to authorize that tonight for him to get started on it, or? Because if we don't meet for another month,
I can go print it out while you guys
I didn't know if there's another opportunity for us to meet, you know, to authorize that. I mean, I'm sure he realizes we want to proceed with that, so, but just, I don't want him to sit back for another month, you
right,
know?
yeah,
This needs to get going.
right, yeah.
Soon,
I can print it out
if
while
that's
you
the way you
guys-
think,
Is
yeah,
it, I thought it was in here.
No, it
No,
just came
that's
in
a
today,
different one.
yeah.
This is for,
it's a
For
different one,
wells 4 and 5, the new
Well,
well
four.
4.
the new well for.
because we're replacing well 4.
Okay.
Yeah, go.
Yeah. Okay. All right, meanwhile, you want to move on
Yeah,
to?
Maybe one comment.
Yeah.
I would like to see, as a suggestion, I would like to see maybe every time you give us a report on the project, any summaries of any change orders that have been approved. Because, I mean, while this is really good right now, this is really, really low considering the size of the project, right?
Yeah.
So that speaks for it how well the bidding process was handled and how
Yeah.
detailed it was. So it's really, really good. It's a really low number
Okay.
in total. But I think it would be great if, you know, if I'm being asked what kind of change orders are
Yeah,
because
that's a
change
good
orders for projects are usually going
Okay.
out the window, right?
Yeah, so we have,
it would be great to have a summary of, hey, since the last meeting, we had this change order, this was the reason for it, and
Okay.
you guys, this was your reasoning for approving it. I think that would be.
so we have an attachment B on our change order, which lists all the items in there, and it lists the cost, so I can say change order 1, here are the items, I can just copy those over. Change order 2 had these items, change order 3 had these items, then we'll just keep a running list, and I can just keep updating that when we do a change order, is that good?
Yeah, nothing major.
Are they in, is it listed in the budget summary as well?
In the monthly budget report for the SRF, it is listed in there, it's just a line item for change order 1, change order 2, change order 3. It doesn't
Or if
list
you'd like
out
to see
each.
something like that as well, to kind of see where the budget's going. Or I don't have to give you more if you.
I don't want to make it too complicated. I just, you know how it is. Change orders is where people get asked questions. Why did we spend money here that wasn't planned for? And why did we approve that without going through a process, a bidding process, something like that? So change orders, in my experience, are always
Yep.
the most
Yeah.
disputed and the most questioned and suspicious
Mhm.
areas of, you know, activity for a project like that. Everything else has been bid and triple reviewed and approved, but change orders,
But that wouldn't be a bad thing, is we have that monthly report that we do every month for the SRF program, I can just hand that out, we can just quickly go through that, and you can kind of see where we stand budget-wise with everything.
and I'm even
Yeah.
fine if that's being emailed out or something. It hasn't to necessarily be part of the meeting,
Yeah.
you know. But I just would like to be able to say that has been reviewed by a couple of people.
Okay, then, all set?
Thank you.
That one, yeah, okay.
Sorry.
So then, no, that's all right. well 7 and 8, I'm just trying to go fast.
Here comes
Yeah.
So well 7 and 8, we're proceeding with our design on that, with the goal of submitting 100% design by the 13th of March. So we look like we're on schedule for that. So
Cool.
Yeah. So and then on wells 2 and 3 design, which is really now just well 2 design. So we are right now working with our sub-consultants, trying to put together the scope and fee for that, and we're asked them to get everything to us by this Friday. So then we're going to hope to compile that. If they all get it to us early enough, we can compile it before Friday. If not, it will be early next week, and then we'll be sending that out. And I think we talked about sending that around to email to get approval, right?
Yeah, I think so.
Yeah. So we didn't want to wait to the next meeting, but we weren't going to have it done for this meeting, so we can proceed with that. So yeah. So that is that's all we have on 2, 3. Any questions on that? Okay, so then there's one other item that came up. New Hampshire Waterworks Association asked if Merrimack was interested in participating in the construction day. So what they do is the construction day, they get everybody, they load them up on a bus and they drive around to different projects, and they wanted to know if Merrimack wanted to participate in that. So
We have in the past.
Is it too early right now, or when is
no,
the
so that's August is when they
okay.
come around. So then that usually like the first week of August. So the 4 or 5 plant will be, up and running, or that they're that's when we're asking them to try to do it by July 1st. Their schedule says that they're going to do it August 1st. So we're going to be in that area of starting up, or just starting to run and that type of thing. So we'll have a nice facility for them to look at. 7 and 8 will probably be, most likely maybe a hole in the ground behind the building, but, we can certainly talk about that type of thing. And then we can talk about Turkey Hill and, your Pennachuck booster and all that kind of stuff. So we would probably, we don't know the details of that. So maybe we, visit the 4 or 5 plant, and maybe we go somewhere, if we're going to have lunch somewhere, then there's a place that we can sit down and just maybe do a quick PowerPoint talking about all the projects that what Merrimack is doing and all that kind of stuff. So we don't know the real details, but first thing they asked us, so he said, let's just see if they are interested in it. Then they are, then we can iron out all the details for it. So.
Do you need anybody from staff on to go to those or anything, or is there any cost or anything on our part, or?
No, it's no cost, but the staff would be.
Just staff time.
Yeah.
I think that'd be minimal.
And is are the engineers and consultants, are they part of that usually, or?
Yeah, so we would come down to that, yeah. So
It's just a dog and pony show, right? So we wouldn't be paying for that, right?
no, right, yeah. So yeah, but that's exactly what it would. Yeah, so we would just be, helping to
How many people
promote the
have
project.
you had in the past?
Full bus loads.
Yeah, it's
Two bus
a
loads.
yeah.
Two bus loads?
There was 2 in the last one we went on, right?
I think it was.
Big buses, small buses?
Big charter buses.
Yeah, the one over in Portsmouth.
Yeah.
Yeah, the 2.
Are these people coming to visit, are there?
Water industry people.
Oh, okay, I
Yeah.
didn't know if it was like college students.
Oh
you know.
no, yeah, it's part of the New Hampshire Waterworks Association. So then there's, consultants, there's other operators, there might be some vendors and that type of thing. Some DES staff would probably be coming along, and so that's pretty much the people. So,
Yeah, that sounds
CEUs
all
maintain
right.
your licenses.
Okay.
yeah. So,
All right, everybody good with that?
Yeah.
Okay.
right, so then do you want to do the
Yeah. So
what is that now, or do you do the?
Yes.
yeah, we should do that now while it's still on subject.
Yeah.
Yep.
So I think it needs to be said when we talk about replacing well 4, we're not actually replacing or abandoning the well or anything like that. We're talking about a physical replacement of the existing
It's,
well.
you could almost say
More or less at the
moving
same
the well
location.
too, right, you know, so.
Right, but only really because we have to, because in that specific area, the screen has collapsed. or
Right.
Will, you know,
Yeah.
has not yet, but
Yeah.
is expected to.
Right.
To have aged in the meanwhile. So
Yes,
the idea is basically to be proactive instead of doing this later on, doing it as part of the job right now. This the 4 and 5 filtration project.
Instead of connecting piping to a well that we know is gonna have to be significantly repaired in the future, just makes sense to put a new well in the same vicinity and pipe it right into the treatment plant so that we're not going back and
and
redoing
then,
something
and then you save the
later.
money on repiping and all that kind of
Right,
stuff, yeah,
right.
so,
Like it would cost us more in the future to have to do this
yes, it
after
would,
the treatment plant was already built, so.
And again,
Definitely.
to explicitly state that this is not to abandon well 4 and replace it with another well. This is to replace well 4 in itself.
right. And it's gonna be, from what I understand, it's gonna be roughly located 10 to 15 feet away from the existing one.
Right.
So it's really not going too far.
It seems like a reasonable cost, 28,900 for 72-hour pumping test and water quality, and that doesn't include the cost of the well itself, but
Right.
that's the,
So let's grab that now.
No, I thought you told me the contract. He hasn't sent the contract. yet.
Okay,
is that from Barry?
this is Barry, it's a cost on, a total estimate cost. Do you wanna wait till we get the contract, or would you wanna vote on this one as well? This one is 76,900.
That's the actual replacement.
990,000.
Yes,
So total
If
with
it-
this is about 100. That's what we said before.
Yes.
Actually, we were saying 150 is 170 or
Or
something.
There was initial cost was a lot higher than that,
Yeah.
yes, yeah.
If it's gonna get them going, I think we should do it now, because
Okay.
if we don't, it's gonna give them an excuse to put it off.
Well,
Yeah, so this is the engineering portion of it, that's the
Right.
construction portion of it.
Right.
Oh, okay.
Is that in form of a real number that, is it like a contract, or is it just like a?
This isn't this is just the total estimated cost.
Yeah, so the contract itself is just,
Yeah,
that's gonna have that number in there.
yeah. I don't know, can we approve something that's not
No.
officially a contract, or?
Well, this needs to go
Improvement
through a
amount.
bidding process too, right? Does it?
I don't think so.
No,
He was-
not for, Barry, I lost his name.
Cause he was scheduled to do this work anyways,
Yeah,
right?
he's actually in,
Oh,
He was gonna do it for the
he's doing some other work over there.
contractor. He was gonna do it under the contractor.
Yeah.
Yeah.
That's building the project,
Right, okay.
but then we asked if,
So it's good because he does work for you anyways, and then the contractor's using him too, so you're
Right.
both using the same person, which is,
he was gonna like rehab the well or something under the contractor.
they have to clean
Clean
it,
the well.
they have to
Clean
clean the air.
surge.
So we asked the contractor if he could pull it out of the air scope and we can pay direct, so there's no markup and stuff, right?
Yeah. And then, so there will be talking about change orders, that's another credit that we'll receive on project 4 and 5 is a credit for not having
cost
to
of
clean
it,
that well
yeah.
because they're cleaning it under this process.
Do we know the
We do.
amount of that?
We do not know the dollar yet, no, yeah. But that's in our list, so we're not, we won't lose
It's
that.
around like 15 grand, isn't it?
You probably have a better idea than I do,
It's
you
like-
get it done
it's
all the
like
time.
15,000, I think.
So that will be deducted from the 70 year,
Yeah.
basically?
Yeah.
Not deducted, but it would be deducted off the
Credited,
project
yeah.
and.
Yeah.
Okay.
I think maybe we can make a motion to authorize the well replacement as a budget of what that number is.
Yep.
And as long as his contract comes in with that number, then it's kind of already approved, right?
Yes.
So the amount, Amanda, is 76,990.
So there's two motions that we're looking for here. One is for Jamie's proposal, Emery and Garrett, for $28,900, and it's his file number 33.P000176.20 dated February 24th. If someone wants to make a motion to approve that first. for $28,900, and that's for the engineering for replacement for well 4.
So moved.
Seconded.
Beep, beep.
Moved by Wolf, second by Ken. Any other questions or comments, discussion? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. All right, so that's that one. So the other one is, what would that motion be for? Approving a budget for the actual replacement of well 4 for Barry Miller for $76,000.
Jill just took it to make a copy.
You got-
$76,990.
Okay. Anybody want to make that motion?
So moved.
Second.
Motion made by Wolf, second by Joe. Any other questions, comments as we take a look at this one last time?
For the record, even though I moved on that, and we have a timeline, right, to beat here, so
Yes.
we're not delaying the 4-5 project. But it would be good for, you know, especially for something like Emery
Yes.
and Garrett. I think that price is fair. I think it really is fair, but we really hardly ever have a second quote for any of this kind of work. And I don't know what resources are out there to even ask for another quote, right? And we may not have to do it all the time, but I think occasionally we have to make sure that we have an analysis. Is what we're paying Emery and Garrett, you know, appropriate, right?
Mhm.
So when we bid these jobs, we have you guys bid it as well. I mean, I think it's only fair that we ask Emery and Garrett to bid this against somebody else as well. Again, the situation is a little bit different. It's part of a project. It's basically a changeover order. This makes total sense. We're saving money doing this, not just in the long run, but actually pretty quickly in the next 5 years, something like that. So this makes total sense, and we don't have time to mess around with that. But
That's a good point.
there's a little bit too much default, in my opinion, to Emery and Garrett. Not that that's the wrong choice by any means, but I would like to have a little bit more comparison.
The one benefit of that, I just toss it out there, is, you know, so you have it, so somebody might be able to come in and do, you know, X job for you, but then they have, you know, some knowledge of everything that and past history that kind of helps to steer you too. You
And
know,
I was
that-
actually about to add
yeah.
that.
Oh, okay.
I almost doubt that anybody can be competitive because these guys have tens of thousands of data points of our aquifers and our geological constellations and so on. So it probably is not like we really have a choice there. And I don't think this is, you know, showing that they're taking advantage of it by any means, but I think it would be nice to have another idea of this kind of cost, right? So.
Good point. So I believe the motion was made by Wolf, second by Ken. Joe? Was it Joe? Any other questions, comments? All right, all those in favor of Barry Miller's budget number here signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. And I know I made a comment before about trying to get these to us ahead of time so that they're in the packet, but obviously they didn't come to you until today apparently, so. We probably should try to mention that to, I know Jamie's got a lot of stuff going on with us, so he probably just couldn't get this to us.
Actually, I asked them too late.
Okay.
So it's mine.
All right, I appreciate that.
Yeah.
That's good. It's always a benefit if you can remember
Yeah,
to
no,
try and get
yeah.
something in before
Yeah.
on the Friday, then we can review things if there's questions and
I
Jamie
notified
wouldn't have
them
been
too
here
late.
to answer the questions
Yeah, no,
anyway,
yeah.
so.
So,
But
Yeah.
I think it's important. The only reason we're really bringing this up now to move it along is because it's got a potential to possibly delay the advancement at wells 4 and 5, and we really don't want to do that. So. All right, so that's good. Is that all you have?
That's all I
Is
have,
that good? All right. Thanks a lot. All right, so we are moving on now to Number 3, Board of Commissioners review final version of warrant articles approved to move forward for the annual meeting. So,
It actually should say to the public hearing, because you're gonna have your public comment tonight, and
that's
then,
tonight.
and then
yeah.
after the, public comment period, then you'll decide if this is the way you wanna go forward, then they get approved to go to the, annual meeting, and you sign off on them.
Oh.
So it should have said public hearing.
Okay.
That's where, that's where the next month, people will see where the board's recommendations are. Recommend, where, for each article.
Great.
Have there been any changes on the last meeting? I forgot. I don't think so, right? So there's really nothing to review, right?
The
No,
only
just-
one is, what is it, Article 4, you added the 285.5. That was one of the numbers I think we had to add in there, which is in here now.
Okay, right.
Oh,
Capital reserve
reserves.
contribution.
Right.
I had notes from my previous, and it looks like, I think that was the only actual revision that I remember talking about, so I don't know what else was made, but I don't think we need to go through these for any reason on camera or anything, but are these on the website at all, or are they going to be put on the website?
After tonight.
Okay.
I do have a question about Article 6. You probably can't hear this anymore. I know 2 years ago there was a big discussion point.
Oh, yeah.
Since we have the capital reserve funds and all of that, I still don't fully understand why we need that. The 20,000 contingency fund here.
It's just something that we can, for the RSAs, that we can, the residents can vote on. It just gives us that,
Cushion.
cushion of, 20,000 if needed.
It's
We have
just an
not-
ace up our sleeve.
Yeah,
something
we have never
happens.
used it.
Right.
So this is unanticipated expenses that may arise during the year. Is that something that, if it wouldn't go specifically against one of our capital reserve funds or something, it can come out of this?
My understanding is if it's a item that's not a line item, it's for that.
Yeah.
We don't have a line item, we can use that contingency fund.
Okay.
And if we don't use it, it goes back into the fund, into the general fund.
And this can be used without board approval, right? Staff can dig into that, or does the board need to approve this?
No, I'm not sure, but I think the board would be aware of it.
Yeah, I know, I
Certainly.
realize that, right, yeah. Okay,
I'm not 100% on that. I have to look
Okay.
look into
all right,
that.
that's it, puppies.
Okay, so basically we just need approval to move these forward
Yes.
to the meeting that's happening tonight. We don't have to go through each article and approve them individually, correct? We're doing that tonight at the public hearing?
Tonight we'll be going through them, so I think you should be able to move them as a whole, and then Joe can, where the X's are, that's, the 400, for
Right.
for approval. So yeah, it can be done as a whole, and
Okay.
So in other words, we discussed this at the public session tonight.
yes, it'll move forward to there, and then it'll allow any public to comment on the articles themselves.
So what action do you need now on this?
Just that they're approved to go forward to the public hearing?
Do you need official vote on that?
Sure.
Okay. Somebody want to make a motion to move these articles forward to the public hearing?
Motion move.
Second.
Made by
Ken.
Ken.
That's worse than my decrease.
Second by Joe. Any other discussion?
You gotta flip it around.
All those in favor signify by saying aye. Aye. 400. All right, so we'll move on to we are here. Number 4, Board of Commissioners to discuss Emery and Garrett proposal combines the previous automated water level monitoring with the water quality data plotting.
So to give you a little background, the other two contracts separately, groundwater monitoring was $12,500, water quality monitoring and plotting was between $20,000 and $23,850. So by combining those contracts, we're saving anywhere from $4,300 to $8,150 because he's got them joined where they're down here enough they can do things all at the same time. So kind of a no-brainer.
Yep. I agree. Do I hear a motion to approve the Emery and Garrett proposal number 33.P000217.2 in the amount of $28,200?
This is budgeted, right? Part of the O&M,
Yes.
right?
Anybody have any other questions on that or anything, or?
I'll move.
Okay,
Second.
so it was moved by Wolf, second by Joe.
I have a
Comments,
question.
questions?
On page 2, down the bottom. Estimated cost, task 5, not to exceed $2,000. Estimated cost to complete tasks 1 through 6. What's 6?
326.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know.
It's a typo.
Let's make one up. He's gotta do it.
Yeah.
He must have a typo in there, I'm guessing, I guess. All right.
Just second it with an explanation of that.
The caveat that it's to be renumbered to tasks 1 through 5.
Yeah, because the breakdown, he doesn't have task 6 on there.
No, he doesn't.
Yeah.
I assume this adds up to 28.2, right? 28.2.
Yep.
Yeah, I think it does. Okay, so that was made by Wolf, second by Joe. All those in favor, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. 400 on that. Let's- So what are these?
This is for the next agenda item.
No. All right, so
Take his copy too?
I don't know.
I got change order 2 and 1.
So now we're talking about, for Emery and Garrett, the next steps for the sodium and chloride reduction project.
So what you have in front of you is, you brought yours with it with your
That could
numbers.
be.
So, change order 1, he just gave us a copy of the contract. Task 1 was completed, that was $5,500. And then task 8 was 84, is that correct? The total was 13,800, which is the original contract amount. last change order, we added the 4,800 for, to authorize him to do the PowerPoint presentation to the town council and the planning board. So change order number 2 is what he's looking at to get authorization for tasks 4, 5, and 7 in the amount of 9,900. So he's kind of, the original contract, he's taking and doing change orders by piece because we didn't approve the full amount of the contract. So this is where he's saying these are the next steps for that, to move forward on the sodium and chloride mitigation.
I personally would like to table this, cause I'm not following much of any of this.
Well, the original contract amount was a certain number. We only authorized 13,800, and then he came back and talked to us and said, you know, this is, what would you like me to do? Then we authorized him to do the 4,800, so now he's going on to the next steps, which is the 9,900, which are the steps that he'd outlined before.
Alright, so it's still the same scope as what he had given us in the
Right, it's
past,
just
right?
piecemeal approvals to move forward in steps.
So change order 1, we more or less approved, well, we did approve it last meeting. So
That
why,
one was all set.
right,
This was, he just sent this along so that you would see the progression of what,
Okay.
what was first approved as the 13.8, what change order 1 was, and then change order 2 is just continuing with that contract and stages.
Alright. This is gonna be reviewing plow routes with the town and DOT within the wellhead protection areas, determine whether reduced salt or no salt application areas can be expanded. Then the next task is coordination with neighboring municipalities. And then task 7 is just the additional thing that he did for 1,800, right? So let's change order 2. What are we just looking at, 1 right now?
No, just 2.
1 is
Okay.
approved.
One's already approved. Okay.
1 is the one where you created the PowerPoint for the town council. and so
Alright, I see.
We talked about that last time.
Alright,
I'm not sure about 2 though.
2 is what we had discussed in the salt meeting, what these were the next steps to move forward.
these numbers are off of his original, oh, he didn't give us estimates on those, the original proposal, right, for these tasks?
Right, it was, yeah, you had
He,
the
he
estimates.
spelled the task out, but he didn't give us the numbers on it. So task 7, we already authorized, is that correct?
No, this is the one where you wanted to have, what, people in the wellhead protection area come here for a meeting? Citizens group
Oh, yeah.
and property owners.
Okay.
This isn't really in a rush. Right?
It's moving forward on the reduction plan.
I mean, I guess I'm all right with it now that I understand it a little better, which is another one of the reasons I like to get these things ahead of time, but obviously if we can't get them ahead of time. I don't know, whatever you guys feel.
So what are we gonna see from these tasks? Physically? Like,
I'm sure
for
that,
review the existing plow routes with the town and Department of Transportation within each wellhead protection area. Are we gonna see a map of suggested reductions of, actually expansions of no salt application areas?
I would assume so. I mean, he does reports whenever he does some background and
Right, but is that defined what we're gonna see from him?
Can we be able to make our next meeting?
Yeah,
So
I
we're
kinda would feel
thinking
more
too.
comfortable
Yeah,
with talking to him about that.
if you look at task number 4 on the original contract, it kind of gives you an outline.
have that here.
It's in the attachment, but change order one. Well, but it doesn't really say, it says refining brine, anti-icing, pre-wetting operations and expanding them to all areas of wellhead protection areas. And then contacting local businesses to see alternatives. So it doesn't really formalize what the outcome of that task is as far as a report or a map of.
Right.
So I'm not so sure about that. New task 5, contacting neighboring municipalities of Amherst, Hollis, and Nashua to encourage, is there gonna be a report of his discussions? Is he gonna come back to us and tell us what has been achieved and discussed, and developing a memorandum of agreement? Okay. Just doesn't say what it actually delivers.
Yeah.
It says what he does, but not what is tangible
Right.
outcome, right? So I'm a little uncomfortable with that.
Well, it's up to you guys if you want to push this and have Jamie come in here and ask these questions and hear answers from them. I can understand that too. I don't know when he's going to be available to meet with us again. I know he's away this week. We've got momentum going, but
Right. On the other hand, we're not going to have any. I mean, it's not going to have any impact on this winter, right?
no.
I was just thinking the same thing. I'm
So
wondering, I think a lot of this might probably be well served more in the summer months and kind of getting before we go into the next winter.
So I like the momentum that we have.
But it's not
Certainly,
critical.
I don't just want to wave this
No, I don't
through.
either.
It's just not tangible enough to spend that kind of money.
Yeah.
I think all of these activities are fine, but what do we have to show for it, right? A couple meetings and a couple presentations that were held, but we gotta have something that we can look back a year or two from now and say this is what came out of it.
I think this would be a good part to accompany a discussion about what the overall salt mitigation plan. I just kind of wrap our arms around what the whole thing is instead of just going at it pieces like this with nobody available to answer questions. I kind of agree. It's maybe jumping ahead a little bit more we still have some questions, I guess. So if you guys want to table this for another meeting when Jamie can show up and maybe we can talk more in depth about the whole salt mitigation program and he can answer some specific questions. I'd be okay with that.
Like some explanation why the cost.
Right. And I know he had he had budgeted before, I think, about making 2 presentations. Maybe I'm not right on this, but I know it ended up only being 1 to the town council. So I'm not sure if he has some extra cost left over from that or not or anything, but there's more questions I think that we need answered. All right, so let's move along. Table that.
New formal vote to table it?
Do we want to take a vote on that to table it? I don't think we need to,
I
do
don't
we?
think we need to.
You have in the past?
Yeah. I don't think we need to.
We're not spending money, so I don't think we need to. But not a lawyer.
I don't think you have to.
All right, and then what else we have here is just a letter that went out to the all the property owners in the wellhead protection districts, correct?
Went out on February 24th.
It did go out because I just found a typo.
Great. Well, great that it went out.
Yeah, it is great. That's fine.
Where's the
Okay.
typo, just if we send them out again?
Very bottom here, last paragraph, Emery and Garrett groundwater in corporate shown has a parenthesis, I don't see the other end of it.
Okay, thank you.
Okay. And then we
It wouldn't be
got,
MBD without a little character, right?
All right, so the rest is just informational, so we can move on now to, what are we doing, minutes from January 27th? Anybody have any corrections, comments?
Nope.
I think I just saw one typo, I think, on page 3, line item 38. Should that say MVD instead of MCVD? That's a very, you should put that in there just so we have something to find, right?
That makes sense to you guys. Make sure you're reading them.
But other than that, a spectacular job as usual. Anyone else has any questions or comments or edits?
Nope.
If all else is good, then we could entertain a motion or two to approve the minutes
Make a motion to approve the minutes, January 27th.
as edited. That one edit. Motion by Joe. Do I hear a second?
Second.
Second by Wolf. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor by approving the minutes signify by saying aye.
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 Sustain.
You sustain, you weren't here. Good move, okay.
Sorry,
301,
An abstention.
one abstention, with Ken Ayers abstaining. Okay, so what does that bring us to? Old business?
Non-public needs to be approved.
Oh, yeah. So we also need to approve the non-public minutes. Because those have to be done in public session. So
So
those
moved.
would be the non-public minutes from last month, which is January 27th, 2020 as well. Moved by Wolf to approve,
Second.
second by Joe. All those in favor signify by saying aye.
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 400.
Sustain. I wasn't
For
present.
301 with Ken abstaining. Glad you guys are catching this, keeping me on my toes. All right, so now we can move on to old business. Anybody have any old business? I don't think I have anything. Seeing none, new business. Anybody have any old business? New business, new business, no old business? Superintendent's report?
Just a couple things. I guess so as we're building new treatment plants for PFAS, we'll be assessing our treatment processes. So if anyone has any concerns, complaints about their water, please call our office, so we can log and investigate each complaint. Tonight is our public hearing on the budget and warrant articles at 7 o'clock, the Little Theater at the Merrimack High School. And our annual meeting is March 31st at 7 p.m. at the Merrimack Middle School cafeteria, 31 Madeline Bennett Lane.
Right.
That's it.
Please note that's a change in venue where it's, I think the last couple of years has been at the JMU's, and this one is at
Seems like every year it flips.
the middle school. Those are the only two I've been to, so I don't know.
Didn't it one at the, one was in the high school actually, at the high school. in the
No,
theater.
that's tonight. That's not the same.
The annual meeting's been at the high school as well.
Yeah.
It changes whatever the schedule of schools
It has?
are.
Once, I think.
Wow.
Not during my reign.
A long time ago.
Oh. Okay.
I'm not sure if this is under new business or old business, but do you wanna know who we have running?
Sure.
What do you think, new business or old business?
Running now, so new.
Well, it must be.
So for
A second.
For commissioners, we have Bruce Moreau, John Lyons, Paul McLaughlin, and Joe Comer. We have 2 spots open, so Tony and Joe are up for election. District clerk, I did put in for the position again, and we don't have anybody in for moderator, so after this.
Brian's not.
Brian's does not want to run again, he's going to officiate this meeting and then he's all done, so in the end, we're gonna have to try and find somebody to appoint for next year, it's obviously not a time crunch or anything, but, so if we keep our ear to the ground and see if anybody's interested.
So is moderator duties only at the annual meeting, or are there any other, if we had some other kind of interim?
If we needed a moderator,
Something.
he'd be out, somebody that we would have, but he's voted in.
It's a shame, he did a great job.
Yeah.
I did ask Lynn Christensen if she would be interested and she said decline.
She did?
Mhm.
Does the job pay anything?
Looking for more work?
Yeah. No, I'm just,
I think it's,
people out there listening that wanna make a big whopping, whatever.
$60.
is it 60?
$60?
For the one meeting, per meeting,
Well, we've only had the one meeting, so,
Meeting?
I don't know if we had a special meeting, I would think we could mix up.
Well, I mean, that's a salary position, right?
So.
$60 per hour. minimum.
not so high, gift card.
All right, any other, so I'll superintendent's
So-
report, you good, anything else?
And quick on that, I'm sorry.
Yeah.
So anybody that would want to, anybody that's listening in and would want to run for this, right, you have to be a Merrimack citizen.
Right.
And you
Registered
could have
voter?
a registered
Mhm.
voter, and you could have a write-in campaign. So even though you couldn't
Mhm.
put in your application anymore,
Right,
people
Oh,
can
that's
still
true.
volunteer.
yeah.
So-
I warned Brian I was gonna write him in again,
Yeah, actually, that's a great
but
idea.
he said, all you need is one vote. They said, I'm putting your name in.
Now, one last question about the candidates and the warrant articles. Can these be, what can be voted on by absentee ballot if people can't make it to the annual meeting on March 31st?
The warrant articles. Just not petition to warrant articles.
I think that's
Right.
true.
Yep.
So
So,
is that safe to say everything on the
Yep.
ballot this year is capable of being voted?
now, Article 4 for the combination of the funds, it's a 2/3 ballot required, and that's at the polls. So, the commissioners, district clerk, moderator can all be voted on. Other things that are majority vote,
I thought you still can do it by absentee ballot if it's not a petition article.
Substitute.
Because we probably need I'm just pointing it out because there's likely to be some people coming to vote by absentee ballot. It probably does every year, I'm assuming.
Very few, yeah.
Yeah. So we probably need to know what they can vote on, what they can't. Just look into it with Greg or whoever, if you need to contact someone to be sure about that.
yeah, no, there's certain ones that you can't vote on because they can be modified on the floor.
But that's only the petition
that's-
ones, to my understanding.
Yeah.
Those that,
That's what we were told. I don't know if that was.
I'm just looking at Article
Yeah.
4, my only one that I'm kind of iffy on, so I'll definitely look into that.
Okay. So, anybody else have any final? We have, questions from the public. Seeing none, questions from the press. Seeing none, then, we're gonna recess this meeting at, 6:20. And, we will reconvene at the high school Little Theater after the 7 o'clock public hearing tonight. So, I guess we're just gonna make a motion to recess.
Make a move, recess.
Move to recess the meeting, motion by Joe,
Second.
second by Ken. All those in favor to recess?
Aye.
Aye, 400. Meeting is officially recessed. Thank you. All right. Okay, thanks for coming to the public hearing tonight. My name is Don Preventure, and we are going to be talking first about the warrant articles. I declare the public hearing relative to the Merrimack Village District issuance of municipal bonds proposed by petition warrant articles for 20-21 open for comment. That's not the one we're doing, right? Because there's no petition warrant articles? Okay. Let's try that again. I declare the public hearing relative to the Merrimack Village District proposed operating budget for 2021 and warrant articles for 2020 open for comments. The notice of this public hearing was advertised in the Nashua Telegraph and appeared in the February 5 through 7, 2020 editions. The public hearing notice was also posted on the Merrimack Village District website at www.mvdwater.org, at the MVD office, at the Merrimack Town Hall, Public Library, and Post Office. Purpose of this hearing is to allow comments from the public in relation to the proposed 20-21 operating budget and the 2020 warrant articles. The Board of Commissioners will not comment during this time. When all comments have been received, I will close the public hearing. The board will go into session to consider action on the proposed 2021 budget and warrant articles. Are there any questions about the procedure? Okay. Seeing none. Are there any questions from the public at this time? If so, please proceed to the microphone and ask away. Seeing none, we'll move on to questions from the press. There any press tonight? Doesn't look like it. Seeing no further questions, I declare this public hearing closed. The Board of Commissioners will reopen the session of the Merrimack Village District Board of Commissioners meeting upon conclusion of all public hearings for this event. Okay.
Are we presenting the budget? We're not presenting the budget.
All right, I guess at this point we are we're reconvening the meeting that we opened this afternoon. We'll go through, we want to read the warrant articles, and we're going to take action on the warrant articles as a commission. So Article 1 is to choose 2 commissioners for a 3-year term of office. Article 2 is to choose 1 district clerk for a 3-year term of office. Article 3 is to choose 1 moderator for a 2-year term of office. In those positions, candidates have already filled those positions to be on the ballot. So the first warrant article would be Article number 4, that deals with non-elected positions. In Article 4 reads, shall the Merrimack Village District, acting pursuant to RSA 33:3A, Roman numeral 2, vote to modify the previously approved warrant articles 2 and 3, which were approved March 26, 2019, so that the funding to be used, so the PFAS treatment program for wells 2, 3, 7, and 8 will be considered as one project, allowing funding to be used for any of the wells so that financial awards from NHDES can also be applied to any of the wells. To include the Drinking Water State Revolving Fund loan of $6.5 million, the New Hampshire Drinking Water Groundwater Trust Fund loan of $6,264,500, and a grant from the Drinking Water Groundwater Trust Fund of $1.45 million. MVD's contribution from capital reserves of $285,500. All that together totals $14.5 million, which is what the warrant article was approved for last year. The purpose of this article would allow for the MVD to maximize the offered funding and to use grant loan proceeds on its various wells as needed. This article is a supplement to the existing authorization and does not replace the previous articles. Any questions on that from the commission? Do we want to make a motion to approve that warrant article to move forward?
Just a quick question. Is it, the gist of it is just to make the funds easier to move around instead of making
Right.
motions in the future to move funds from one to the other, just a better, make it easier flow.
That's right. Somebody want to move that article and we'll take a vote on it?
So moved.
Moved by Wolf, second by Joe. All those in favor of moving Article 4 to the warrant signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That carries 4-0-0. Article 5, to see if Merrimack Village District will vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $4,117,060, $36 for general municipal operations for the 2021 fiscal year, that's 2020/2021 fiscal year, with said sum to come from water-related charges. The article does not include appropriations contained in special or individual articles addressed separately. A minority vote is required. The purpose of this article is the operating budget warrant article. This article funds the operation of the district for the year beginning July 1st, 2020 and ending on June 30, 2021 for all departments, administration, distribution, treatment, debt services, and insurance benefits. Anybody want to move that one?
So move.
Seconded.
That's moved by Joe, second by Ken. Any other comments, discussions? All those in favor signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. That carries 4-0-0. Moving on to Article 6. Shall the Merrimack Village District vote to establish a contingency fund pursuant to RSA 52:4-A by raising and appropriating the amount of $20,000 to meet the cost of unanticipated expenses that may arise during the fiscal year 2020-2021 with said funds to come from water fees. The majority vote is required. And the background on this article is from RSA 52:4A, which states that every village district annually by an article in the warrant may establish a contingency fund to meet the cost of unanticipated expenses that may arise during the year. Such funds shall not exceed 1% of the amount appropriated, exclusive of capital expenditures and amortization of debt by such village district during the preceding year. A detailed report of all expenditures from the contingency fund shall be made annually by the commissioners in public and published with the report. Entertain a motion to move Article 6 forward to the warrant.
So move.
Seconded.
Moved by Joe, seconded by Ken. All those in favor of moving Article 6 to the petition, to the warrant, signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Any abstentions? That carries 4-0-0. Article 7, shall the Merrimack Village District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $15,750 under provisions of RSA 35:1, Roman numeral 1 and 2, to add to the district's System Development Capital Reserve Fund for the future system expansion and improvement of the existing system. This sum to come from the fiscal year 2018-2019 surplus fund balance. These are the system development charges collected during the 2018-2019 budget year. Majority vote is required for that one. And background on that, the MVD Board of Commissioners adopted a system development charge on August 19, 2008. And this charge is applied to new customers and those existing customers who increase their water service demand beyond 20% of their current or prior use. The charge can best be described as a buy-in fee to achieve an equal equity position with the existing customers. This one-time payment will cover their share of the value of the existing infrastructure. Fire service entrances are not subject to the system development charge, and the system development use of funds policy 08-02-B was approved by the Board of Commissioners on October 27, 2008. Does anyone want to move that warrant, Article 7 to the warrant?
So moved.
Second.
Moved by Wolf, second by Joe. Any other questions, comments? All those in favor of moving Article 7 to the warrant signify by saying aye.
Aye.
Aye. No abstentions, oppositions. That carries 4-0-0. In the last Article 8, shall the Merrimack Village District vote to raise and appropriate the sum of $500,000 under provisions of RSA 35:1, Roman numeral 1 and 2, to add to the district's Equipment and Facilities Capital Reserve Fund for associated costs with existing storage, transmission, and production of water. This sum to come from surplus fund balance. So the purpose of this article is to use a portion of the revenue surplus to be set aside for future use in the district's Equipment and Facilities Capital Reserve Fund. Should an emergency arise in the future years for which there is no appropriation, or should there be the need for an unforeseen special piece of machinery in a pump station, for example, the Board of Commissioners would have these funds available for such purposes. This fund was established by the March 26, 1996 annual meeting. So do I hear a motion to move Article 8?
So move.
Seconded.
Article 8 is moved by Joe, seconded by Ken. All those in favor of moving Article 8 to the warrant signify by saying aye. Aye. Any abstentions, oppositions? Seeing none, that's 4-0-0. So, what do we do now? Right, so the next thing on the agenda is proposed warrant articles as proposed by petition warrant articles. Those are articles that are not proposed by MVD. Last year, we had a couple of those. This year, I'm not aware that there are any petition warrant articles by the customers. So I don't believe there's anything to discuss about that. So I believe anything further to discuss I'm not aware of. Am I missing anything on the agenda? I guess that's it. So we have a motion to adjourn by Wolf,
Second.
second by Joe. All those in favor?
Aye.
Signify by saying aye.
Aye.
No oppositions or abstentions. That carries 4-0-0. And I believe that's the end of the meeting, public hearing. Thanks.
Thanks for coming.